Good afternoon, everyone. Bridge Nation, welcome to the PublicEye. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. It's Bridge 99 FM. Special station, beaming out to Jamaicans everywhere, home, abroad, all through the world. There's nowhere we don't go. Today is March 9th, and as political turmoil deepens between Russia and Ukraine, economies, including us in Jamaica, better brace for the impact on food and gas prices. One of the big things we have to talk about today, Bridge Nation, is whether we are sufficiently preparing ourselves for that. We're going to have to grow plenty more food. We're going to have to export as much more as we can to earn our own money so that we don't have to devalue our dollar when we have to buy little oil and whatever else. Not little, plenty oil from other people, So let's get it straight. That's what we do on the PublicEye. Every Wednesday, bring the issues, no slander, no gossip, just facts. Yeah? Continue to explore some societal problems, always with an open mind and a search for solutions. Thanks for being part of the Bridge Nation. It's a growing population. You can tune in Bridge 99.13579 on the FM dial, and also watch us live stream www.thebridge99fm.com, wherever you are in the world. Follow us on Instagram at thebridge99fm and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bridge 99FM. A little later on this afternoon, the Honorable Pernell Charles Sr., the Venerable Chief, will be joining us. He's attending Winston Witter's funeral. Baba Tunde, remember him? Yeah. Lay him to rest at midday today. So Pernell is there, and then he'll come and join us, And this afternoon, we'll be speaking with PNP Chairman, Member of Parliament. No, he's not Chairman anymore. He used to be. MP for East Kingston, Eastern Port Royal. He still is. Shadow Minister for Energy and Mining, former Minister of those portfolios, Phillip Paulwell, about political consensus. He's been calling for it. Also, I want his views on the budget, and particularly on the issue of energy prices. No, you heard Bonthorpe just now with the news on the bridge that the oil prices settled today close to brushing $130 a barrel. Yeah? We go with the West Texas pricing, so it's a little below 130, but it's still enough money, twice as much as we have been affording, and about 3 times what we can afford given our level of productivity, foreign exchange earnings through exports, So, big problems, big challenges, not beyond us, but certainly needing a complete change in how we think of things. I want to ask Phillip Paulwell, what is the role of the marketing companies? He knows my questions, been asking it for years, and he can't give me an answer. Why do they have to get money out of the gas price? Tell me now, especially when the final price is so expensive. So that's one issue. How sure are we of supplies? Not so worried about that. And then the prices, did the Minister of Finance yesterday say when price is likely to go down? Everybody else say it's temporary, that the raise up. You ever see fuel prices go down sustainably? A little 25 cents here when I'm liquid of $3 for the next 4 weeks. That's what we live with, and so we talk it straight. We're looking for answers. We want to see more solar, more wind energy, a pickup in Jamaica. Yeah. And we can't stand the light bill go up so high. Later on in our Global Connection Hour, where we join with our friends Irie Jam in New York, that irrepressible man called Beau Regard. Yeah, we're going to be talking to Trevor Tomlinson, past president of the Cornwall College Old Boys Association New York chapter, because they're doing an official handover of information technology equipment to stem the learning loss in 25 high and primary schools across Jamaica. That's really excellent, We want to find out what motivates them, though we think we know. We want to find out who's benefiting, and is this a sustained effort or a once-off thing? Yes? And we'll also have our usual connections all over. Please join the Bridge Nation. Call our phone line at 876-676-4996. We would love to hear from you. Oh, those in the tri-state area too can join the discussion. They have their special number, and people are ordinary, 1-888-546-8800. 8742. Yeah. Well, coming up, as I told you, Phillip Paulwell, a prominent member of the People's National Party, and he's been on the line in respect of seeing the futility. If I use a strong word named bankruptcy, you will understand what I mean, of the current political system, which makes for the theatre that went on in Gordon House yesterday evening, but which don't really take us any further. And we want to go further because we want to move. Life is short, and we want to move on and make some contributions, all of us together. How about that? So there's that, and there's plenty other things to talk with Phillip about. Welcoming Phillip Paulwell. Greetings, Phillip. Thanks so much for joining us.
Are you alone today?
I'm alone because Pernell has gone to Winston with his funeral, Phillip, and he's coming shortly. But he may miss this particular interview, but nonetheless, I'm sure he'll pick up somehow.
I like when both of you are together. I just listen to both of you.
Listen, and he was anxious to check you on some things too. But we'll relay, and maybe he'll come. Give us a first take though, Phillip. What you sat in Parliament yesterday. A lot of things to do with the portfolios that you have managed over time, particularly to do with energy. What's your take on the presentation by Finance Minister Nigel Clark?
Yes, well, actually, I was not in Parliament yesterday. I was given so-called evidence in the Trafigura matter.
Okay, yes, we're coming to that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I was able to catch on radio substantially what he said about energy.
Yes.
And thought that the position, I don't think he understands the full impact or what the full impact is going to be when these latest price increases are passed through, and we are not done yet. I am looking at some predictions, and people are suggesting that the price of oil is going to go north of $150 per barrel.
Mercy.
So very soon, those of us who are paying 220 Jamaican dollars per liter will be paying over $300 per liter. And it could get worse. I saw a prediction about for $180 per barrel.
No, but is that just alarmism? How do we match that with Nigel's and the government's suggestion, Phillip, that this spike, though dangerous, is temporary? What's the basis for their thinking, do you feel?
All governments do it, and we do it unwittingly because we give the people a sense of falsehood, because it is worse than it has been presented. But if you look at the trajectory, even if there were peace tomorrow, and there can't be peace tomorrow because where the situation is at now, it's going to take months for some negotiated peace to happen. Plus, I don't see the U.S. relieving the Russians of these sanctions until they are assured that the Russians will not carry out the so-called expansionist design as they feel they do into other territories.
Yeah.
So this is not a short-term thing. And again, I don't want to sound the alarm as an alarmist, but we have to face the reality. And the stark reality is that things are going to get very bad for us. They are bad already, so they're going to get worse.
Phillip Paulwell, the price of oil, how linear is the connection between the price for crude and the price that we end up paying at the pumps or have translated into our electricity bills? You know the formula.
Yes, I know the formula. But let me just remind you, the budget that the minister gave yesterday, that presentation, all of it was based on a barrel of oil being sold for $67 US per barrel.
Oh, God. That's what
Yes.
Ralph Sanheim told us this morning, and one of the things that frankly stumped poor Purnell, and you are confirming it now, that is the presumption in the budget, and I gather not only for this year, but there are similar deflated and unrealistic prices that are projected going forward for the next few years.
So Ronnie, you can imagine, we have a budget at $67.
Yeah.
Today, the price of oil is approaching 130.
Yeah.
And it is likely to get to 150. So suppose, say, half of the year we are in this predicament. And the budget that was, it hasn't been approved as yet, but the debate started yesterday. It's based on $67. This entire budget will have to be rewritten because the price of fuel, energy, affects everything in this country.
Don't we know?
There's nothing that you can do without energy. And yes, there is a linear relationship. So when the price of oil gets to this, the price of the crude oil gets to this stage, you add all the markups. So it has to be processed into the various products.
Yeah.
And as you know, because I know that you have always contended that the pricing formula at Petrodam is too opaque for the ordinary person to understand.
Yes.
But it is directly related to the so-called standard price that is associated with this part of the world, the West Texas intermediary.
So hold on now then. So if West Texas is 125 or 127, as Von Thorpe just read on our news, and we are pricing a budget of 67, then virtually it's a doubling we're looking at then, if there is this linear connection between the base price and the end price. Now the processing cost will probably be the same, but the marketing company's markup is a percentage of that price. Yes. So is the transportation cost. So is the dealer's markup, and so is the tax, Mr. Paulwell.
You have said it. I didn't want to say it. But you're bolder than I am. But you're absolutely correct. It is almost, in fact, it is more than a doubling of the price. And but Ronnie, the problem we face though, all of this is foreign exchange, you know.
Yeah.
And with the tourism sector not back up as yet, with bauxite alumina still in the doldrum, we can anticipate a serious balance of payment problem in this new financial year that starts on the 1st of April.
Yes. But then, hold on. What can we do? Because it seems to me that that's part of our discourse here today. My first question is, what is there any astute purchasing that we can do that will mitigate those costs? I don't think so, but you reassure me. And then what about the marketing companies? Why are we paying them for doing nothing?
First of all, we lost an opportunity about 2 years ago. When the price went down. Do you remember the price of oil went down below $20?
I do remember.
At one time, it was below zero.
Yeah.
And those times, we did not use the hedge to do some forward purchase, as it were. So we've lost that opportunity. So, dog, number supper.
Yeah.
I believe that the government can do certain things apart from what was announced yesterday, because up to recently, the total taxation on a liter of oil was just below 50%, 48%. And there's a component of it that is ad valorem, so that as the price goes up, the tax intake also increases.
Stop there for me, because when I hear Minister Clark saying triumphantly, with all of the satraps clapping him, that we have no new taxes. That's not really true, is it? Because in fact, more money is coming out of our pocket, which is what taxation does, with every increase in the price of oil.
Yeah, so we have to get real, Ronnie. The minister, you're quite right, says triumphantly, no new taxes. That is not true. The Jamaican people were paying substantially more taxes than they were paying last year, and the revenues reflect that, the same revenues that he published yesterday.
Indeed.
So we have new taxes. we are further burdened
Yes.
by new taxes.
Yeah. But
With
then,
a sleight of hand.
yes, but then we have all of the burgers of business and the leaders of various organizations saying, "Oh my goodness, what a wonderful, stable trajectory we're on." Phillip, Paul, we're moving on to another element of your published thinking. But these people don't have the interests of the mass of Jamaican people at heart, because they maybe those who are earning in millions can manage those things, but the ordinary people, the people of East Kingston and Port Royal, are going to be hurting.
I'm glad you mentioned the people of East Kingston and Port Royal, because I tell you, since COVID, we have been on this slippery slope.
Yeah.
There was a time when, as MP, people would approach me for all kinds of things. Some of them want luxury items. People want money to buy liquor. I don't hear that anymore. You know?
No, it's food.
It's food. It's food, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
It is food.
Listen, so can the government solve this problem? Is it if Purnell were here, I'm sure he would say, "Are you blaming the government for this this trouble, this doom that is impending?" Is what can they do? And can one hand clap Phillip Paulwell?
Yeah. So Ronnie, you would have seen an article I wrote this past weekend in the Gleaner.
An important article. That is the basic reason we wanted to talk to you. What did that article say? What motivated you?
Well, I have been in this thing for a while. And I remember my time in government. And as I'm in opposition now, I'm also reflecting. And there are good aspects of a two-party democracy. Jamaica is regarded as stable, and we have been able to change governments without, apart from in 1980, without too much fuss these days. But Ronnie, because of the competition and the competitive nature of our politics, there's always a desire, and I tell you, it is probably instinctive, for us to cast the government and their policies, all of the policies, in a negative light, because we see that as the way to become government.
Yeah.
And the government in turn, especially if it's a recent opposition, that the opposition was in government recently, they want to show to the public how much better than they are. Yeah. And they do tend to look in the rearview mirror at all times in casting in a way to keep the opposition down.
But didn't we see that played out yesterday? I don't know if you caught this part on the radio.
Of course.
Here is Finance Minister Clark advocating unity, saying that we can't continue with strife because we're going to put Michael and Eddie on the $1,000 note, no? Or $2,000 note together as a sign of the unity that we want to achieve. And he hardly took 5 more breaths before he started traducing the PNP. No, hello, who you? There's no basis for any committee if that is the way you're going to do it. And yet, he must have felt that he either feels it genuinely, which I hope not, or else he feels that his political position demands that at least him box off your head 2-3 times. I mean, and to distort what took place in terms of the give back of tax. How on earth could the government that you and I were part of, how could we have given back tax in a situation where you had this massive stabilization that was imposed upon us by their previous profligacy? Phillip, you can't take her for a fool, man.
The minister's action is instinctive and reflexive. And that's why, Ronnie, I wish we could have an objective discussion on some of the matters I raised in that article.
Yes.
Because there must be a way for Jamaica, for the opposition, the government, for civil society, etc., to agree on certain things that we will do. And cause it what it will, we will do them.
Help, when we come back from the short break, sir, tell me if that is going to mean that we have to swallow some spit. We who are of a PNP tendency will have to say, you know what, Nigel did go on yesterday, but we're not going to take him on, make it stay. It will mean that we add more grist to the so-called Vale Royal talks than before. It means that we are going to have to push a different kind of institutional framework for government, a kind of involving constitutional reform. Develop your ideas for me, Phillip Paulwell. Just a moment, we'll soon come back. I'm talking with Phillip Paulwell, former Minister of Mining and Energy and opposition spokesman on those portfolios and Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal. Phillip, what's the way to forge, to create a bridge that we can cross together?
All right. So the way I believe, Ronnie, to proceed is to try to mobilize the vast mass of our people and to acknowledge that we have not been able to do so effectively, especially with the evidence of just about 30% of our people who participate in elections.
Yeah, frightening.
Over 60% of them don't care.
Yeah.
And why is this so? I think the way we have practiced the politics is wrong. We have not been able to build a consensus on some important areas like education, like the issue of crime and violence. So the way forward is for both government and opposition to come together, for opposition to acknowledge good policies, for us to tone down even the way we criticize and to proffer much more alternative policies in a way that is not too contentious. We have to soften the approach. I believe, Ronnie, if we adopt a more patriotic approach, I think it is good politics for an opposition to be seen to cooperate, to be seen to disagree with respect, but to provide alternatives. And sometimes we as opposition say, well, we are not government, and if we put out ideas out there, the government will steal the ideas and we will be in opposition forever. Not true. I think the people are watching, and they will acknowledge and give credit when they see an opposition behaving like an alternative government. I'm not saying so about this opposition. I'm saying so for the last 60 years.
Yeah, no, it's a point of principle you're making with reference to that history. Now, in my view, win, lose, or draw, that's the only way that Jamaica is going to progress. But I can hear people joking and saying, boy, if you take that position, then you will never gain state power again. And that's the purpose of a political party.
Not true. I tell you, these 60% of the people who are saying to us a pox on both your houses, they are yearning for an opposition. They are yearning for a parliament that is less contentious. They, in fact, because it is so contentious, people now don't even listen to what goes on. So they have tuned out. To get them back in, cut down the ferocity, be kinder to each other, stop calling each other's bad names. Because, Ronnie, I have been in government for a long time. And when I look at especially some of the past parliamentarians, past ministers, to see how they live in retirement, and then everybody has this thing about corruption and people lining their pockets, it is not true. Yes.
Well, Phillip, you and I know there's no breach of cabinet secrecy. There have been prime ministers who were in such difficult circumstances that the government of a party other than theirs had to stretch their hand and say, help, come, let us prevent the embarrassment, let us do something. Deputy prime ministers, the public need to know that, and that the division weakens the ethic of public service and makes everybody suffer. Not just
former ministers, Ronnie, former ministers. When I was a minister, a former minister came to me and cried in front of me, and there's a former minister on the other side. To say, look at what I come to.
No, but I know. I tell the same story during the time I served. Yes. In fact, one of the ironies is that some of the people now who are in the past, thank God less now, and I really commend my colleague Pernell Charles for his view, his position in this, who have been so derogatory about former Prime Minister Simpson Miller. She was the one who would, you could always approach. She has always been open to understand the needs of somebody who might be a political opponent but had given and wanted to give public service. I'm sure you can affirm that too.
Oh, she has a heart of gold.
Oh, Lord, man.
Sister P was quite amazing. Because even those who treated her badly, she would treat them with the utmost of kindness. I have never seen anybody like that.
You put it so well, and that is my experience too. In fact, that has endeared her, certainly to me, and I'm sure to many, many Jamaicans. Yes, and yet, well, so that is the way we must go, sir. But how are we going to cobble this? How are we going to forge this, Phillip? What do you see happening?
All right. So I was disappointed recently with our Prime Minister, and this is our Prime Minister, when he responded the way he did to former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson on this issue of Jamaica going to be a republic. I think these things need leadership, and the top leader in the country is the Prime Minister. So his hand has to be stretched out first, and the opposition must respond. But it's not only government and opposition, because 60% of our people are out there. So there must be a concerted effort now to get back public support, to get people to listen, to engage. So I believe that we have not had meaningful consultations as governments over the last 60 years. You know, today I was on a program talking about the bauxite alumina industry and some of the problems with the environment and so on. And I made a point. Yes, you do have the environmental impact assessment process that requires participation of the public. But after that, when you're implementing, when you're mining, there should be opportunities, regular opportunities, to engage the public, to note the impact on people, to immediately put in safeguards, and not to leave the people out. And we also have to challenge the people to be a lot more responsive. You know, Ronnie, allow me another minute.
Sure.
When I was minister and we were introducing what I thought was far-reaching legislation, the Fair Competition Act, and even though people don't understand the impact of that law, we decided to do consultation. And we went around the country. But the response was terrible. People, yes, I went to Montego Bay, left Kingston to Montego Bay as minister to have a forum. And after crying the meetings and advertising, only 5 persons turned up. At least 2 of them were vagrants. You know, so we find that our people are not interested in the running of the country. It has a lot to do with the turn off, but we have to turn them back on.
Do you sense any responsiveness to these ideas from people in the Jamaica Labour Party?
You know, since Sunday, I'm quite pleased because there are some persons who support the JLP who are concerned about Jamaica. They are patriotic people, and they thought some of the ideas are worthy of discussion and serious discussion, and hopefully can be adopted throughout.
This is the reason why Pernell Charles and I have come together to do this kind of program. We are very distinct in our political loyalties. We're very distinct in our backgrounds and racial origins and in our religious beliefs. But there is a common cause that we find that we can have. Now, not bigging up him or certainly not me, but the point is that in the circumstances of the horrible impact on our economy, of the circumstances that you outlined earlier, the COVID adding to that, all of the endemic problems of lack of effective education, poor health services, subjecting to external shocks. Phillip Paulwell, neither the progress that the PNP cries for or the prosperity that the JLP cries for, neither can it be. We can achieve none of that unless there's junction, unless there's consensus, sir?
Ronnie, I don't know if you were listening on election night.
Yes.
Because I had the opportunity to speak on behalf of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more than just an olive branch and concession.
Yeah.
It was a deep realization that the country is in a bad way, that even if I were a minister on election night, I wouldn't celebrate because of where we're heading, and that it does require government and opposition coming together to try to mobilize the country, because without mobilization, we are going to sink into further chaos and disorder. And to be able to, in a real and sincere way, try to galvanize our people towards action to make life better.
All right.
We therefore have to listen to each other a lot more.
Phillip Paulwell, does our party agree with you?
I think, I believe that the new party leader, along with the members of the shadow cabinet, members of the parliament, I think we're there, probably not totally, but I think we have always been, as PNP, nationalistic and patriotic. We have always been. And if you look at the various achievements of a national effort, such as the Bill of Rights, we weren't able to achieve that even though we wanted to when we were in government. But we got it when we were in opposition because of how we behave, who we are. So I don't think we are far from that point. I think in this time, as hardship worsens and as people can take advantage of it, and as a political party, we can take advantage. We can stir up the people. We can make the country, the government's life miserable. We should not. We should not. And I don't think that is going to be our intention.
Well, that is very encouraging. And I think that you would want to extend the call, as you are in fact doing, to say, look here, the mood has to change based on a better principle than we have acted on before, and that this has to be a sustained thing, because you're not going to change a political culture of 80 years in the twinkling of an eye. It's going to take a long, sustained, and very difficult period, won't it?
Of course. And we need to start by trying to encourage a gentler society. We're too harsh. There's too much violence, the way we treat our women. I think we just have to pause and calm down.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was so disappointed with Nigel yesterday, and I'm willing to be gentle and to be accommodating. But he needed to have read your article twice. Anyway, let's encourage him to do that. Phillip Paulwell, before time runs out on us. Yeah. What is going on with this questioning that you've been a part of with Traffic Guru? The strong public sense is that PNP is trying to hide something. Why not just talk what it really happened and done it?
Yes. And Ronnie, I would be more fulsome in my comments, but the matter today is still in court, and Mr. Colin Campbell is actually answering questions today. I'll be quite happy. I think we should be through either today or early tomorrow to give you my full take on it, because I will be able to demonstrate that this is much ado about nothing. And yes, I was so happy that I was the minister that introduced and had passed campaign finance, real campaign finance reforms that now require that donations are registered and accounted for, which has never happened before. And we are hypocrites when we cite one side for receiving donations in a certain way and don't acknowledge that this has been a part of the culture that thankfully, in 2015, we were able to get new laws passed. I think there has to be further developments on those campaign finance rules. I still believe that there are too many gaps still.
Yes.
And ultimately, Ronnie, I believe the state has a responsibility to fund political parties and their campaigns, and that we should not be accepting donations, ultimately, from private sources. That is my view.
Yeah.
It bothers me when, as a minister, who have to oversee matters in the public interest.
Yeah, you have to go beg those same people and say, give me your money so that I can still be there. And there's always a price to pay. If not an economic price, a moral price. There's a hazard that is inevitable in those circumstances, and that is what we have imposed upon ourselves, Phillip Paul. We can do better than that, man. You must be right. But of course, there's going to be resistance there, because there are some people who premise their entire business and their whole personas upon being able to control government from outside.
Yes, and that has to change, because government will not act in the best interest of the people if it continues, and that has been the reality.
Well,
the reality in the last 60 years of independence and before under self-government.
What an acknowledgement. But then to achieve that, then, if I respect your reticence, let's tell our listeners it's not a trial. The judge isn't going to give a judgment on the statements being given. Nobody is going to be charged or acquitted or convicted. Yes, it is an inquiry that has been mandated by a particular set of historical circumstances, ludicrous in its 16-year pedigree, but or passage. But never mind. The fact is that to achieve equitable campaign financing, one side can't do it alone, Mr. Paulwell.
No, it cannot be done alone. But you need to have the rules in place and punish those who go outside the rules. Ronnie, I need to just remind you one bit of fact in this matter. Again, I don't wish to delve too much, but this issue occurred in 2006 when we were in government.
Yeah.
In 2007, when the opposition became government, Mr. Bruce Golding went to Parliament to pass a law to take retroactive effect so that the matter could be brought back as current. Before 2007, when this matter occurred in 2006, there's no way the Dutch could come to Jamaica to seek answers to these matters. The government, led by Mr. Bruce Golding, passed a law retroactively, politically, to have this. And I'm not going to be too caustic, because I have to lead by what I'm writing, by example.
Yes, you should.
But yes, so I'm not going to pronounce too much on that, but just reflect on it.
No, but I mean, it is. I mean, there are other instances that could be mentioned also. The fact is that it does not involve covering up wrong. It does not involve governing in any clandestine fashion. To say, for God's sake, can we have common cause rather than edging up people's teeth with all kinds of scandal about the other side, when you cannot move the country. You can score your point. You can bang down the desk in Parliament. You may be able to win 49-14, or I believe one time we won 51-9. Yes. But at the end of the day, you can't move it forward, and then when you're done with your honorable and your most honorable, you stand up and you say, "But wait, where'd go?" What's the point, Phillip Paulwell? I admire your persistence in the field, but
yes. But Ronnie, having been one who has suffered at these pointed fingers, knowing Ronnie, from the day I entered Parliament, from the day I became a member of Parliament, from the day I became a minister, my sole purpose has been to make life better for my people in East Kingston and in relation to my national role to Jamaica. I have fought battles with Cape and Wireless, You can't be corrupt and fight those battles. I have fought battles with JPS.
Yeah.
I have fought battles with the bauxite companies. These are large conglomerates.
Sure.
You can't be exposed in a corrupt way if you take on these challenges. And these people will fight back. And they will point fingers.
Listen up, you're onto a good cause. We share the ideals with you, and it's not some airy-fairy thing. It's something that is essential to our future. I'm interested to hear your response when your time comes to the energy crisis, and to see how we can practically come together in a better way to ease some of the difficulties that we're facing. Thanks so much for the exposure today. We'll do more.
Thank you. I shall return.
All the best. Good. Phillip Paulwell, former Minister of Mining and Energy, opposition spokesman on those portfolios, and Member of Parliament since 1997. He and I entered the House at the same time for East Kingston and Port Royal. Yes, this is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, and we'll soon come back. So, Bridge Nation, so Public Eye audience, what do you think of Phillip Paulwell's interview? Yeah, he's calling out of the bowels and the belly of political engagement for the last 30 years or so. He is taking his blows, and I have no doubt he's given his blows. He's saying, listen, this can't work, that the better way is if we find some common cause. And you notice how measured, more measured than I was, in respect of his critique of the energy proposals and conclusions of the Minister of Finance, yes? I believe Phillip Paulwell is onto something. He was very cautious and some would say tentative in his response to my question as to whether the party that he and I are members of really agrees with this surge, this new thought about consensus and finding a gentler way to disagree. Yeah. So there's work to be done to persuade people. He says it's good politics to espouse this new way. And I think he's right, but it may not be good immediately. In the long run, I think it will prevail because it is right. And I agree with him that the 60% of the country, and growing, who don't do business with either PNP or JLP right now, they can be interested in a genuine approach to social relations and political discourse and activity, which obviously is of a different timber, a different character to what we have at present. Yes? Shall I call it a new beginning? And some people will smile, some people will grimace, because there's memories there. But it is necessary that we should think of this. On the area of crime, on the area of education. Is there one area of public life that you, listening, can think of, which in fact does not require or cannot benefit from a greater level of consensus? A lowering of the decibels of cussing the other side, and to encourage people to have a common cause. Yeah. And would it not increase the morale of people who have no alternative but to really suffer? Whether they're suffering because they can't find a work, whether because they don't have the education to achieve their ambitions, whether they don't have the money to do basic things like buy food or go in a transport, yeah, or pay a light bill. Would it not be helpful if they felt that, boy, this is something I really can share, and that I'm not in this position because I don't vote for this side or that, or because the other people wicked and I good? Yeah. And that this would not mean some kind of Pollyanna approach where we agreed with anything and everything that a political tendency did. No. On the contrary. But we would, as we do in our families, if you're interested in keeping your family together, yeah, that you would find ways of solving problems which didn't involve tearing the other apart. Richard, let me tell you something before we break. Some of us in public life, we need to know what it is to not only to fall in love, but to stay in love, if you're going to stay in love, yeah, you can't cuss the other person and tear them down and go on bad and box them up, otherwise it not gonna last. Yeah, no matter how pretty you think you are, no matter how much time you win, yeah, you're going to end up lose. And if it is more than you, because you start a family or you have a broader responsibility to a community, to continue the analogy with public life, then you have an obligation to do different. And it doesn't mean giving up your principles, but it means listening and learning, and that your first principle is the common good. Let's take a break on the public eye and the open mind. We have on the program today some people who have transcended all of that, and they have a loyalty which is different. They have a loyalty, as many of us still do, to the schools which we attended and to the welfare of the generations of students who have followed. Let me welcome past president of the Cornwall College Old Boys Association, Trevor Tomlinson, and key stakeholders of alumni groups who have been helping Jamaican students. Mr. Tomlinson, welcome.
Thank you, sir. How are you doing?
We're fine, thank you. Welcome home.
Thanks. Good to be home. Good to be here for this project. Months of work, and it's good to be here to get it over the finish line.
Let me introduce the Honorable Pernell Charles, a graduate of West Indies College, and I acknowledge being a proud graduate of St. George's College.
Well, and I am now West Indies College, yes. West Indian Training College moved to NCU.
NCU, Northern Caribbean University.
Yeah.
Yes, and just to fill it out, and of City College, New York University, and my connection is with Cornell University.
I see.
So we're Americanized somehow.
So tell us, Trevor Tomlinson, you and your company of alumni leaders, tell us why you have come. Tell us what motivates you and what you're doing.
So for a number of years, the Cornwall College Old Boys Association throughout North America, we have been giving back to Cornwall College, and we've been working with folks at e-learning and at NET to do that. And we came across some equipment in searching for stuff for Cornwall that far surpassed whatever we need. So we said, all right, you know what, let's reach out to a couple other schools and share the wealth here. And initially it was only supposed to be about 5 schools, and it grew to 10, and now we're at 25. So we are donating things like network switches, all-in-one computers, wireless access points, some tablets, masks, face shields. This shipment has a lot, and it's touching schools in 8 parishes. So
really?
We're putting in a little bit of effort into this project here.
But, well, okay, give me some background then. Because obviously you are excellent fundraisers and you have big hearts that you are able not only to satisfy the requirements of your beloved Cornwall, but you've been able to stretch to 8 parishes, 25 schools. That's very large. My goodness. Tell us more. Who did you bring together to achieve this?
So the team of us, we're all over North America, and we got the equipment. Dennis Shipping helped us with shipping. Sandals Foundation stepped up big time to help us with this. The Union of Jamaica Alumni Associations also chipped in. Yes, UJA chipped in. E-learning and the National Education Trust. We don't move without talking to them about what the specs are for getting our equipment here. And, with the duty processing, the waivers and all of that, we have to go through National Education Trust. We have some other charities that help us. The Having Purpose Charity and Taj Weeks' Taka Foundation, they came in with helping us get some gear. And when we were packing in Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago, we had alumni organizations from Mobile High, Mount Alvernia, Monroe came in, The Marymount ladies, they said, look, we can't move anything, but we can feed all of you. And they came in with food for us and everything. You know, it's a group effort.
No, but
yes, it was conceived by the old boys, but we go around and we get things done. And Irie Jam and Bridge FM stepped up and helped us with getting the word out as well.
But you are showing the rest of us how to live, aren't you, Trevor Tomlinson? That is how Pernal Charles, this is a manifestation at the level of alumni groups that we want to see characterize all activity in the whole nation, where everybody do something. Who have peas, provide it. Who have rice, bring it to. Who can bring food. Who have 2 computers. Who can raise the money. Everybody come together. That is nice. That's not accidental.
Yes, and somebody is asking us, so who govern?
Well,
how do you get government out of that?
Somebody takes a lead. I believe Dr. Megu is with you, Trevor Tomlinson.
Dr. Megu, our chairman, is with me. Yes. He's been here as well as Andrew Lee from e-learning.
Well, may I speak with bring them into the conversation? Dr. Megu is the chairman of Cornwall College. What does the greetings to you first, Doctor? And what does this kind of philanthropy, this kind of connectivity with alumni, what does it mean for Cornwall College? What have they brought? What difference will it make for your students?
Well, I believe first of all that it is showing our students how to be good exemplars.
Yeah, how to live.
And Cornwall College, from its onset, has been known to be one that is involved in nation building. And we were established for nation building.
Yes.
And in fact, throughout our 125 years of existence, we provided the first 3 Chief Justices. We have provided the first Financial Secretary. Yeah?
Yes.
And as such, we were established to provide also doctors for the empire. So Cornwall College has always been focused on nation building, and this is just a continuation of what we do best.
Were you short of information technology equipment before this?
Yes, and given the new thrust and the direction in which education is going, if you look at the recently commissioned published report of the JETC report, it says that one of the challenges
Professor
going forward,
Orlando Patterson's
chair. Mm-hmm. It says that one of the challenges going forward was how to utilize technology more in driving education forward, and this falls squarely within that ambit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So we're going to bring in Andrew Lee in a moment, but Trevor Tomlinson, tell me again, why are you people all over the United States? Why you do this?
Well, we love our schools. We are passionate about our schools, and most of us went on to tertiary education in America, but we do not spend any time giving back to those institutions. I went to 2 colleges there, and I don't even understand their fundraising mechanisms for it. All my attention goes to Cornwall College and to helping other schools here.
Yes. But this is a tremendous asset, Pernal Charles. Can you imagine? Look at it. These people, most of them living abroad, but they have never shaken the Jamaican dust off their feet. And they feel this primary loyalty. How many years have you been away, Trevor Tomlinson?
I graduated in 91 and I migrated in 93. I graduated from Cornwall in 91.
Look at that, years now, and yet you still feel this primal loyalty to your school, and there are many others, of course. Similarly.
And it's right across the diaspora.
Yes.
Right, that they may see their school, but they see their school as part of the overall Jamaica.
Yeah.
They may be sending a barrel to Timbuktu, but they're sending it to Jamaica. And what they have done, Ronnie, which is fantastic, is bring people who are not Jamaicans
into the fold.
To be so interested that they contribute.
Yes. And this is the way in which we're going to be able to modernize education. When we come back from this short break, this is an important interview. Andrew Lee is going to tell us what his view of the state of our capacity for information technology learning in the education system really is. Stay tuned. This is The Public Eye with Pernell Charles and myself on the Bridge 99. Soon come. This is The Public Eye on the Bridge. The Honorable Pernell Charles and myself on Beau Regard at Irie Jam in New York, talking to the diaspora, lifting up the spirit of Jamaicans, interviewing Trevor Tomlinson, the past president of the Cornwall College Old Boys Association New York chapter, and Dr. Richard Megoo, the chairman of Cornwall College, and Andrew Lee, the acting chief executive officer of eLearning Jamaica. Andrew Lee, greetings, and tell us what do you feel? How equipped are we, particularly given the donations that we're celebrating today? What's the state of Jamaican schools in terms of the digitization of life?
Yeah. First of all, good afternoon to you and your listeners, and we're happy to be on and to share with Trevor and the team here. This is something that eLearning just jumped at once we got the call from Trevor to be involved with.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of Jamaica's schools, eLearning has been providing technological infrastructure to the schools in terms of labs and equipment, and this has really, the pandemic that we are emerging from, really brought out that, need for greater technology, not just within the schools, but, for students at home. So we've been providing devices to students so that they can access online resources. Now, the partnership with the Cornwall College Old Boys Association, and I think this has expanded far beyond Cornwall College. In fact, Trevor mentioned 25 schools now benefiting, which I think is tremendous and probably unprecedented in the sense that Old Boys Association or Past Students Association generally focus on their particular institution.
Yes.
In this instance, Trevor has reached out far beyond the walls of Cornwall College, and I want to congratulate.
No, this is very significant, man. It has meaning in broader areas. It's teaching us a big lesson. So
absolutely, and this is really helping us to prepare our students and our country generally for, I don't want to say the future, but for now, because everything that we are embarking on now require the use of technology. And our students, to build out a modern education system requires technology, and technology costs money. And for the team to raise money to seek equipment that can be used, can be deployed in our schools across Jamaica is, really going to help us to move forward. The equipment that they're deploying will allow access to the internet, directly wireless access within the schools, which is something that in the past we built out labs and those are wired. Now everybody wants to be on the go, but being able to access the internet. So again, this is really something that we ought to commend the team for.
Yeah.
It will help to enhance education, and it's the kind of partnership that government wants with private sector and with the diaspora.
Yes.
Because they are going to play a big part in helping to move education and Jamaica forward.
Well, I'm just thinking it's the partnerships are becoming the more essential because, Pernell, you will remember the Universal Access Fund, which Beau Regard is a tax on telephone calls. The resources from that are diminishing with the advance of technology, and therefore to achieve e-learning's objectives, yes, is going to require a whole heap of other sources of enablement, like the Old Boys of Cornwall are offering. So we need to inspire others to do the same. What you say, Chief?
Yeah, I want to first find out from them. Mm-hmm. Are they connected to any governmental institution? Is it Ministry of Education?
E-learning is a Ministry of Industry and Technology.
Yeah, yes, because I don't want you to be doing this wonderful thing without it being a big part of governance and education in Jamaica.
It is. Confirming Andrew Lee?
That's correct.
Who are you in contact with? What agency?
They are the e-learning.
We're part of
e-learning Jamaica.
Okay. E-learning is the Ministry of Industry.
Industry.
No.
We work closely with the
education.
Ministry of Education in terms of deploying technology directly to the schools and directly to students. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we are now providing devices not only, in fact, to students but to the teachers to enhance the learning and teaching experience.
Sure.
So it's a full deployment of technology that will benefit across the board in terms of teachers and students.
The Universal Access Fund was a brainchild of Phillip Paulwell when he was a minister. Yeah. And it has been carried on. Darrell Vaz undertook it, and several others who have held that post. I'd like to ask Trevor Tomlinson, where do you go from here, sir? Are you going to Wary in well-doing, or do you have expanded plans?
So the chapter has been focusing on other things. We're actually in the midst of getting the other project ready to get some more equipment here. But there's more time to talk about that once we kind of get our heads around it. I just want to say thank you again to Sandals Foundation, because they stepped up big time for us. And we have Karen Zaka here, and I also have Miss Janet Manning from one of the benefiting schools as well. I would like to give them enough time to talk. We can talk again when we get our heads around the next project, because we're already working on that.
Okay, I wasn't aware. Fine. Karen Zaka, Sandals Foundation, welcome.
Thank you.
And we're talking to diaspora people in the tri-state area through Irie Jam and the Honourable Pernell Charles and myself here. Tell us what attracted you to this venture, and how have you been able to help?
What attracted us to this venture really is an ability to work with very like-minded people, whether they're based in Jamaica or whether they're based outside of Jamaica, who have the same thought process and the same mission as we do, which is to support education and to build strong communities. And we all believe that you can't have one without the other. Just by chance, I received a phone call. I'm not even really quite sure how that person found us.
But
the minute that we spoke, I knew that we had a lot in common.
Yes.
That the due diligence that they had done in advance of calling us was very strong. And I believe that partnership was really meant to be between the Sandals Foundation and this Alumni Association, in particular because we've got to find some way of bringing that digital divide, making it smaller, and to giving our students opportunities that they see where they live, and that we believe our kids should also have.
Well, that's great. Will you continue the association?
Absolutely. I've been very pleased working with them, and as long as we're able to, and we're not planning to go anywhere, we're in for the long haul.
Yeah, well, that's great. If we can do that, then the prospects for more schools are there. And I'm glad to have the principal of the Great Malden High School on the line too.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, welcome. I mean, you have such a pedigree. I used to visit your school when it was Branch, Texas. Pernell, you remember the founder, the late Reverend C.A. Morgan. He founded this college up in St. James.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Morgan, yes.
And then it became a government grant-aided school, Malden High. So we're very happy to be engaging you and to understand that you are in fact participating in this venture too, Mrs. Green Manning.
Yes.
Hello, are you there? What a pity. Our connection seems to have dropped. Let's get her back quickly.
Where are they located?
They're located in Malden, in South St. James.
Oh, they're in Jamaica?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I thought no Tomlinson.
He lives abroad, but he's the past president of the New York chapter of the Cornwall College Association.
Yes, and I know the name very
yes,
very.
And then Dr. Magoo is the chairman of Cornwall College. Andrew Lee is the government representative of the government agency. Karen Zaka of the Sandals Foundation.
Oh, Karen Zaka, yes.
Sandals Foundation.
She's one of the top.
Yes, and Mrs. Green Manning, who I remember well, principal of Malden High, which is one of the beneficiary schools. Are they back on the line? Not yet, but this is good, because the funding for e-learning, which gives a yes, the funding has diminished from the original source, and therefore it's critical. But a place like Malden, Janet Green Manning normally would be considered to be out of the range of the best information technology equipment and connectivity. Tell us how you're managing, how this has enhanced what you're doing.
We do have an issue with connectivity.
Yes.
It has been a little bit difficult. More than for most people, it's quite rural.
Yes.
And we do have challenges with internet connectivity. We have challenges where the students are concerned based on the fact that they themselves are not able to get devices and are not able to be a part of the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
This program, this initiative by Cornell College and the other stakeholders, and I want to thank at this many Sandals, I want to thank Cornell College Old Boys Association, I want to thank all the stakeholders who have come forward. It means a lot to a school like Malden. It is one way of bridging the divide. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. It's one way of pushing that gap, getting it smaller, so that we can establish things so that our children can be better able to learn.
Yes.
One of our projects at Malden, we want to have an e-library. Most of these textbooks are now going digital, and we would want our students to benefit, in terms of not having to walk with these books, and when these books go out of print, then they will be able to use the technology to get their learning going. It's a marvelous initiative, and Malden is very, very grateful.
It has another aspect to it. You've mentioned it, but there is a divide between the high schools in Jamaica. Let's be frank about it. Some have age and pedigree, like Cornwall College. Malden is relatively new and remote in a rural area, as Principal Green Manning is saying. But if we are going to really to level up, then it means that Cornwall and other schools like that, yes, in the Bay, have to reach out in practical ways to places like Herbert Morrison, Malden, Irwin, Green Pond, and all of those high schools.
Ronnie, I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
Over the last, and I said probably 5 or 6 years,
yeah,
the rural schools
uh-huh.
have been doing so fantastic, particularly in sports.
Yeah.
Like Edwin Allen
yes.
and
yeah.
a Clarendon College football
yeah.
and a St. Elizabeth Tech, that children are being sent
choosing
from...
Yeah. And we want them to do just that, don't we? But I'm sure, Trevor Tomlinson, you will agree that while we understand their proclivity in sports, we want them to do well in the sciences, in technology, and in all aspects of education equally, don't we?
Yes, we do. And Cornwall, like Chairman Magoo says, has a long history. We have nuclear physicists that worked in government for the U.S. We have doctors like Cecily Heard who perform hand surgeries all over the globe.
Yes.
And we see this as a way to give back to our school, help the technology infrastructure here. And we also have a team. One of the persons on the team is a Malden past student, and we have a Woolmerian on the team, and we have
really
someone from Manchester.
Uh-huh.
And part of what we're doing also is helping to redesign or design and install networks for some of the schools. Because like Malden is good internally, their network infrastructure within the four walls of the campus.
Yes.
But they need internet and all of that. And some of this equipment that comes in is just to bolster what they have already. But we are looking to help our rural schools. And yes, Camperdown is one of the schools that are benefiting, but this initiative is helping Westwood, it's helping Manchester High, it's helping Mount Alvernia, it's helping Mobile High, it's helping Herbert Morrison, it's helping Kernaldy Primary, it's also helping Montego Bay Infant School. So we're touching a wide cross-section.
No, that's a litany of virtue. That's important. I have one piece of information to pass on to all of you before we conclude. When the telecommunications system Purnell, was being liberalized in 2013 and before. What I understood was that one of the conditions of the licensing, for the internet profusion, was the promise that there would be connectivity for all our schools within a given period of time. It has never happened, or not happened yet. Okay. So I'm saying that with the kind of generosity that we're talking about here, the alumni groups, the Sandals, the receptivity from the various schools, Mr. Tomlinson names, it's time now for the companies that earn, justifiably, earn a whole heap of money from us buying data and connectivity, for them to make sure that every school in Jamaica has proper internet connections. Do I hear an amen coming from my interviewees?
for a while you were at church, but I have to ask you that, I was invited a few weeks ago to a Wi-Fi opening. And I am now invited. I just got a call from my daughter that Morant Bay, they'll be opening. So there's I don't know which of the ministries in charge of this. But there's a Mr. Dawes.
Done by the MSET Ministry.
Ministry of Science and Technology.
So they've been going very fast right around there.
Well, I hope they achieve even faster. Fast like the internet.
Well,
very necessary. Listen, I want to thank you here very, very much for what you're doing. Trevor Tomlinson, please convey through us, just two retired public servants, the gratitude that we have to all of those members. You tell me that they're all over the United States who give of their time, their talent, and their treasure to ensure that we have quality learning. We reach out to Malden High through Mrs. Green Manning to say, make sure the young people understand that other people check for them and sweat for them and make best use of the facilities, care for them because they're irreplaceable for learning tools. And we expect nothing less from the great Sandals Foundation with its pedigree, remembering its founder. And Dr. Magoo, Cornwall continues to be the real light of education in Montego Bay, don't you?
Yes, sir. And we are all for collaboration. As I said before, we are into nation building. So we have to bring everyone into the mix. If one fails, we all fail.
Look at that. I wish we could all accept that. That's true.
It sounds like a man that joined us in the morning.
Yes, he sounds like that too. We're forging a common spirit, a new national identity. Thanks so much for being with us. Enjoyed this interview, and you're doing good work. New York folk, listen up to what the alumni associations are doing, and encourage your listeners at Irie Jam, Beau Regard, to link up with their past student association, with UJA, and make sure that they continue the contributions of this sort to Jamaica. Got you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. We're taking a break and we're coming back on the Public Eye. Soon come. We're linking with our friends at Irie Jam. Beau Regard's listening and comparing in New York, and Purnell Charles and I are here. Any reactions, Beau Regard, to the Minister of Finance's speech yesterday? Anybody on your side picked up on it yet?
No, me personally, I did not get to see it.
You know, one of the things that he said, which Purnell and I want to engage you in discussion with, because I don't know how popular in your country, in your states, how popular are electric cars? They take the swing yet, or they are?
No, not really. I haven't really taken over yet.
Okay.
I mean, it's here, but a lot of people are looking into it, but slowly but surely.
Yeah, but what one of the things that the Minister of Finance said yesterday is that in the effort to wean ourselves off of the expensive oil, and the gasoline. Yes. And the diesel, that there's going to be special duty concessions on electric cars, okay? But even though it's limited for per year, and he said 1,000 a year. But hold on, Mr. Charles, come now. So if that is the case, for me, no more of the gas guzzlers would be allowed to import in Jamaica and name out the foreign exchange.
Hold on, you were that man just a while ago.
Wow.
That's why you're not the Prime Minister.
Hey, Beau Regard, you have to defend me, you know.
Well, the truth is this: you still have to have choices.
Right.
But running 15 years ago when the after we came out, there were none of these cars in Jamaica, you know.
No.
They were all 8-cylinder, 6-cylinder United.
True.
American cars.
True. Okay.
What has happened to them?
Well, so we get a little better now with the Japanese predominance.
Very small.
Okay.
But we have just too many. Every yard full.
So then
every place full.
So were you telling me about choice now? Because choice can give you a high chest, you know, and high chest can kill you.
Choice have to be directive. Your children always have choices that has to be managed by parents.
Sure.
And so governments.
Yes.
I saw a line I have to give you, and I was thinking about you. The great test of government is how they manage their country in a crisis.
In a crisis. So we're having a crisis. Beau Regard, I don't know what's happening to the price of gas. What you're paying in New York right now?
5 years.
No, the average price is around there, $4.50 if you're paying cash, and if you're paying credit card is about over $5.
Wow.
U.S.
Yeah, man.
U.S.
Yes.
That's what I told you.
So
you have to advise those politicians up there that we have a man here who's coming to challenge them.
What you're asking me?
No, I was going to ask, do you think they'll allow us to move away from gas and oil, though, with all the money involved?
Well, that is another big thing.
Well, the United States, the president has indicated that they're going to fund some of the big companies.
Yes.
That they can proceed.
Okay. But Beau Regard is asking a question that is troubling, because there is so much vested interest and investment in oil that if you think these people are just going to say, okay, our time gone now, bye-bye, we will take lower profits, I don't think that's going to happen. Isn't that what you're asking?
That is exactly what I'm asking.
And Boga, listen to my technology now in the future. Why can't we find a car that is going to be run by water?
Yeah, well.
I agree, 100%.
Why the technology stop?
I don't know enough chemistry, but I believe that I've heard people argue it. Yes, I've heard people argue that this will be one day possible. All I'm saying is, in Jamaica, yes, we are spending the majority of our savings. The little money we put in a credit union, the little money we put in a bank, them take it and what them do with it. Them don't support farming. They don't support schooling more and so. But what they do, they offer you, you can get one old Japanese car and get it 100% credit for 10 years at 6% in Jamaica, you know, Beau. When you have $2 when you have $2 spare dollars, send it down to your Kumbala, your Pasera down here, and tell them to run taxi, and it will match your salary at Irie Jam.
May I give you a little credit?
Yeah.
And please don't get your head too big.
No, sir.
I just said something a while ago. It's very important.
Yeah.
If the big institutions,
the
banks and the cooperatives and this, were not seeking out to lend money, 100% you can get if you're going to buy a car.
Yes, sir.
And there's something else. You have to insure them.
Yes, sir.
Have you looked at insurance?
Yes, sir.
So you know when you can get insurance when you get a little accident?
Well, you have to go through all kinds of loops and pay so much of things.
Go to all sides.
Yeah.
I have an insurance that tell me if the accident is less than that, you have to cover it yourself.
Yes, I have same as us. So, but you're paying $100,000 for one small car. Yes, and they give me a medical. Hey, my problem.
If you believe there's just a government, but you see, I'm trying to get that to you.
But this is it. I have to accept. Beau Regard, they nowadays, I don't know if you have it up there, but if you're over a certain age, you have to take a medical test before they renew your insurance. Yes.
I had to take a test and look left, look right.
No, but they asked me
and
a question.
Test my foot.
They asked me a question on my form. They asked me if I'm pregnant or intend to be.
No, that you were signing the wrong form.
The wrong form.
That form was not meant for you. Well, let's put it this way. Let's hope that it was not meant for you.
I told him, no, I wasn't, but yes, I intend to be. No, this commercial system, if you follow it, and know your own client, it will turn you fool, Beau Regard.
They say skip item 10. That's for the
what
lady.
I wanted to get you gentlemen opinion on the new currencies that came out for Jamaica.
The new currencies. Well,
yeah.
Okay. What do you think? I think it's a whole heap of foolishness.
What's that?
The new currencies. The new money.
I think it's different.
No.
I didn't expect to see two faces on the bill. That's what I didn't expect.
Yeah, well, you see, we are different in Jamaica, There was once when there was no pictures, no photograph on them.
Yeah.
And then one photograph come. So we're just going to go two. Yeah. I mean, this is Jamaica. and the symbol, as the minister put it, we're trying to unite the country.
It's foolishness.
So,
and then the moment him finished talk that, him leg him mouth against
no, but holy word.
So what is that?
Holy word.
Yes.
I want to say this to you. Do you know that there are a lot of people who don't want to touch the $1,000 because Mantley's on it?
True.
Do you know that there are a lot of people
who don't want...
There are people who don't touch certain things because man is on it, Shara is on it, and this. You think you don't understand
what they're going to use?
So what I'm going,
I think your problem. I think that your.
I'm going to close
I think that your problem is you're an urban politician. You have to see some of our elder folks who say, "I don't even want to say that."
Yes.
Change it and give me different money.
I tell you. Well,
I heard
what a stupidness.
To you, but there is something in it as far as they're concerned.
Yes.
And the education that your colleague who went to this, and I noticed, so you've been saying you go to school in America. I am now going to expose you that you go to a big school in the United Kingdom. Yes, and you won a big scholarship. And that you're a Rhodes Scholar.
Lord have
mercy. And that Rhodes Scholar come out of some colonialism.
But tell me now.
But you're bright and you have done well. So I want to conclude that point, Ronnie, that these things want to change. I don't think it's a bad idea, and I heard the trade union lady this morning. I don't think it's a bad idea. That if you can get people to unite, and the unity can come through the symbols and your money, go ahead. It don't take.
That's not going to do it.
My mother says neither here nor there.
Well, I will that much I will concede. But Beau Regard, I hope the money look pretty, and I hope the value of it will improve as we get close, as we print the new money.
A question that arises from you saying that the purpose was to promote unity is that, do you think that this generation is really, concerned with what took place, in terms of putting the faces that you put on the money, especially the $2,000 note?
That is the $2,000 is not for this generation. It's for the older one.
You mean the Manley and you mean Michael and Eddie Siago?
When you say it's to promote unity, I mean, this generation, do you think they are concerned with the like we say, we don't see that much beef in the streets between the war between the two parties in the streets?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, this is a big question. We have to forge a unity. I accept that symbolism has its place, but I want more substance than that.
Well, your religion.
You take the last word, Mr.
Your
Charles.
religion believes in a unity.
Yes.
Today, religion is closer than it used to be. Tabernacle used to be over there.
Yeah.
Baptist over there. Adventist over there. No, Catholic, don't even call them names.
No.
Today, we have churches, all of them, sitting down to breakfast and preaching.
Yes. So let's
maybe different sermon, but to the same God.
Let us follow it in the political realm too. Beau Regard and the audience of Irie Jam, thanks for your company today. Look forward to next week. Always good to link with you.
Barry,
it's always a pleasure.
Barry, I'm going to catch a thing of him because I need an advertisement to call some of my old friends in New York.
You see that now?
To call you and get my number and let us...
I'm looking company, you hear?
Yeah, no.
And Irie Jam and the Bridge is a good place to get to. Thanks so much for your company on PublicEye.
All right,
today.
take care.
Honorable Colonel Charles LaFane, Godfrey, Richie, Romy, everybody. Jeffrey, thank you very much for your company. We look forward to next time. It's Nicky Z's time on the Bridge. Stay tuned.